Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are told that we can invite people to Islam by our character and by our behavior. The Prophet ﷺ had the best character and the best behavior, but he was rejected by the very people who knew him the best. The people of Quraysh rejected him. So the question arises, is it possible to invite people to Islam by our character and behavior alone? Let's take a look. The Prophet ﷺ had the best character and the best behavior even before he became a prophet. He was universally liked by all the people of Mecca. For example, during the time when there was inter-clan rivalry, when the Kaaba was being rebuilt and a dispute arose who was going to place the black stone into the corner, there was only one man who could do that without any man in Mecca begrudging him, and that was the Prophet ﷺ. So why is it the best man with the best character wasn't able to win over the people that knew him so well? The people that followed him were slaves, women, children, and the men of Mecca were a small minority of his followers. In fact, the men of Quraysh wanted to kill him. The reason is simple. It's not the Prophet ﷺ they disliked. It is Islam that they disliked, because Islam challenged their way of life and wanted to change it. And the same is the case today. It is Islam that the world has a problem with, not necessarily the Muslims. If a Muslim becomes secular or liberal, they will not have a problem with him. So what did the Prophet ﷺ do in order to change this? It is the mission that they dislike, it is Islam that they disliked. The fact that the Messenger ﷺ endured hardship is an indication that doing this is an obligation. Otherwise, he would not have put himself and the companions through undue hardship. Today, we have this opinion that if we reform our characters and we don't talk about contentious issues and we don't challenge the way of life that exists today, then the wider world will like us and accept us. But our aim as Muslims is not to be accepted or liked. Our aim as Muslims is for Islam to be accepted and established. There is a difference. The Prophet ﷺ was liked and loved even before he became a prophet. It wasn't about being accepted or liked as an individual, because the Prophet ﷺ was already liked and loved by the people before he became a prophet. So it is true the best da'wah to Islam is through by example. However, a person cannot personify Islam. He cannot demonstrate Islam by his individual character. No amount of good character can demonstrate the justice of Islam. You need a judge and you need a court to enforce a judgment to establish justice. No amount of good character can demonstrate peace. You need to establish the Sharia, so the maqasid of the Sharia can establish the peace. No amount of individual charity can remove poverty. You need to establish the Baytul Mal to collect all the Islamic charities and taxes and distribute them in order to remove poverty. No amount of good character can exemplify Islam. You need the Khilafah to exemplify Islam. An individual can only practice ibadah and akhlaq. The Khilafah practices the Sharia. So when the Prophet ﷺ struggled to change the society, sought Nusra and established Islam in Medina, then the people could see what Islam is. Islam became a real living example. And a good illustration is the number of people that embraced Islam before Hijrah and after Hijrah when Islam was established. So if the best character of the best man couldn't win over the Quraysh by his individual character, then we have got no chance with our flawed characters. The Khilafah Rashida is the living example of Islam, which carries the da'wah to societies around the world. Islam spread from Medina to Central Asia, to Spain, to the borders of India within 100 years, because the Khilafah was carrying the da'wah for Islam. So if we still think that individual character alone can bring about Islam in this world, then we have deviated from the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا